All right, in the last video, you set up a WordPress website and you made one quick down and dirty little hello world post on it. Now we want to delve into this topic of blogging through a WordPress website. So we need to log into our site. There's two ways to do that. One, you can just go to the generic WordPress.com website and click on log in. My preference is to actually go to your site. So type in your URL, and all you have to do to get logged in from there is add a / in admin. The reason I like doing it this way is that you see the site, and that's typically when you're making updates. You're on your site and then you realize, oop, I made a mistake here. I need to add something here. So this is just my preference. But as soon as you add that admin, you'll be prompted to log in with your credentials. And on the public machines, make sure you uncheck stay logged in. In fact, when you're first using it, it's probably a good idea anyway, just so you can kind of get the difference between what it looks like to the world and what it looks like to you. And once we're logged in, we end up at the dashboard, which is where all the editing of your site takes place. So this is really like the back end of your website. And the big reminder here is make sure that when you're done editing on a public computer, you go up to this little icon here, click on it, click sign out. I'm not going to do that right now, but I just want you to make sure you have that in your notes or as a step that you always do so that no one can come behind you and really mess your website up, do some malicious things. And I know I mentioned this in the previous video, but just one last time, I want to remind you that things will show up in different places when you're trying to follow along with me. So you really have to kind of take that responsibility, keep your eyes open, look for things. Just like one example is just even this little log out button shows up over here, the sign out button. Sometimes it shows up over here. So as long as you know what you're looking for, and then you also realize that if you're using a different theme, you may not have all the same options that I do. So this is a process that takes a certain amount of experimenting. But everything we're going to start out with here is pretty generic. So as I said, our first task here is to add a new blog. So I'm going to go over to posts, and I want to add new. And there's two entities or aspects of a blog. You have a title and then the actual content. So we want to do something that you can get about 4 students to reply to your blog so that you can get a sense of what it takes to get their replies to show up. So let's come up with a title and some content that makes sense. So just simply by typing, like in a word processing style, I have created the content of my blog, both the title and the actual content in here. And notice you have basic word processing tools at your disposal here. You can toggle the menu open and close for more or less options, but very basic, straightforward stuff. Since I said this is me, let's go ahead and see what it would take to add an image to this particular post. So what you do is you click on the Add Media button, and if you already had items in your media folder, you could pick them from here, but since we don't have anything yet, we could drag and drop right on this area right here and they would show up, or we can click on Select Files and go out to our hard drive or our flash drive and select items. Now we may want to first edit them in Photoshop before we do that, just so we're not taking up a whole ton of extra space here. And then we'll click on Open, and you'll see this load into here. Puts a check mark in it automatically, meaning this is the one that I want, but since there's only one. Always want to add alt text. That's for people with screen readers. And then also experiment with the caption in the description. And you'll notice that, especially in my particular theme, only the caption will show up, but the description might show up in other places, like if I did a image rotator or some type of a gallery later on. Okay, so I filled those in, and then I'll go ahead and click on Insert into the post. And there it is. When I'm ready to go public with this post, I could preview it if I wanted ahead of time. If I really hated what I did here, I could move it to the trash and start over, or just simply go over here and edit. But I'm pretty confident that I'm happy with this, so I'm going to click Publish. Even if I'm not happy with it, I can still edit it. But let's first go ahead and see what this looks like. So now what I'll do is I'll just come over here, click a tab, go to my site. Now keep in mind that I am logged in here, even though I'm going to another window, so we will still see that edit button. So it's not a perfect representation of what the rest of the world would see, but it's pretty darn close, just minus the edit button. So if we did notice a mistake here, all we'd have to do is click edit. It would take us right back into this edit area, no problem. But let's pretend that it is excuse me, a day later, a couple days later, and we're logged out, and we want to or we realize there's a mistake and we need to edit. So first thing I need to do to mimic that scenario is click here. Remember, I told you that might show up in a different place later on, so there it is. But I'm going to sign out and go to this site. So here I am viewing my site just like the rest of the world would, and I notice there's a mistake here in my blog. So how do I fix it? Well, just like we said before, we come up here before, put in the admin, we're going to get prompted to log in, and then we're going to end up at the dashboard. Thing that we want to edit is a post, so I can click on post over here, and I can tell it to show me all posts, or I can just actually click here is about the same result. And then I need to find that one. Now I have a couple of these here, so I'm going to delete it so you would see what you would see. So this is more like what you would see. You would have that post you did on the very first day, and then the one that you just made. So if you notice that there's a mistake in here, all you have to do is hover your mouse over this, go into edit, and make whatever edit, whether it's the title or the content of the blog, and then click on update, and you're all refreshed, back in business. All right, so now the topic of sending and receiving comments. Okay, so let's pretend that you are you now, and you come across my site, and I've asked you to leave a response on it. So what you would do is just click right here where it says leave comment. Now, everybody's site may look a little bit different, so the leave comment button may not be exactly here. It might be near the bottom of the post. So what you really want to do is just make sure, like this site's not real clear, like where one blog post ends and the other begins, but if you kind of take it in and say, okay, yeah, this one looks like it all belongs here, so I wouldn't want to click the leave comment button down here. If this is the one I'm responding to, I'd want to click the leave comment button right here. And then that's where you leave your reply. So you would put your reply in here, then you would have to put in an email address and your name, and then you can also put in your WordPress website. The beauty of this, the fact that WordPress makes users do this, will prevent you from getting a lot of garbage. So right here I'm just pretending I'm that ever fictitious Chris Smith student, and then all Chris would do is post comment, and if he wants to get an email, as soon as he knows that I've made a comment on his comment, he could check right here. And then it's just a matter of clicking there. Okay, so now let's shift gears. Now let's pretend that you are me. How do I know that someone has made a post on my website? Does it just automatically show up down here? And the answer is no. I mean, there are changes you can make to the site if you wanted to, but for the most part, you don't, because you don't want idiots going in there and making stupid comments, or people trying to sell stuff on your website, putting ads in there, aka spam. So there's two ways that you can check your comments and decide whether you want to add them to your website or not. One is you can go check your email. WordPress will email you anytime someone makes a comment on one of your blogs, or you can just log in and look for any updated comments. So here I am signed into my website. Click on comments. And there I can see, okay, someone posted a comment. Hi, Steve, here's how do you make the image? Okay, so I have no problems with that. I'm going to go ahead and approve it. Now, you notice that you can edit these. It's a little, to edit someone's post, right? It's supposed to be a blog and open forum, so just kind of keep that stuff in mind. Now, if somebody writes something that you don't like, just spam it or trash it. Spam if it is indeed spam, trash if you just don't want to post it. But otherwise, the whole idea is to get this back and forth thing going that is a blog. So I'm going to click approve. Now, if the rest of the world goes to your site, they can see here is your post, and they can see here that there is a comment that has been made to that post. Now, not every theme will look the same. In fact, some of them, the comments might appear just right under there without you having to open them. But in this particular theme, you have to click here and open right here. And there is the response that was made. And then if you're the public and you want to reply to this person's post, like maybe you know the answer to the question that they asked, or you could say, yeah, I was wondering the same thing. You could click there and you kind of get a thread going there. Or if you just want to leave a reply to the general post, you could do so there. Now, what if you are me and you want to answer this person's question? The easiest way to do that would be do it when you responded or when you approved it. So let's just take a look at that again. I'm going to go ahead and log back into my site. And keep in mind, even though it originated from a post, it's actually comments that we're dealing with. So I'm going to go into the comments, and I'm just going to hover over this student's question of me, and I'm going to click on reply and type in my reply. And then I'm just going to click reply. And then once again, when the world goes out and sees our website, they'll see the original post, Chris's reply and question, and then my response. And just for grins, we'll take a look at that in a second, but just the big reminder, probably last time, at the end of the day, come up to this icon and click sign out. Back on the site for all the world to see. This is now updated to show that there's 2 comments. And when we go in here, we can see this is the original question, and then tucked underneath it is the answer to the question.